What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Smooth Plays podcast. I'm Austin, aka Austin Plays, joined once again by Dean, aka Mr. Smooth. And we're back giving y'all 2 episodes a week. All right. So don't worry, we had a lot of stuff going on, or at least I did, especially with I've been moving, so as you can tell behind me, I'm still getting situated in my new place, but we're back. Two episodes a week. This episode is our Week 10 recap and review. So, Dean, you got anything? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go, man. Feels good to be back with you here on the Smooth Place podcast, baby.
All right. Love to hear it. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and dive right into these Week 10 matchups. And the first one that we're going to talk about was a doozy, the Thursday night matchup, divisional game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I really have three pinpoints from this game, at least things that I learned. One is that Lamar Jackson is currently the MVP frontrunner.
Yep, I would agree, and I don't know if it's particularly close. So,
Uh, Two, I would say the Bengals, I just feel for them, and they're not even them, they're fans because they're putting up these numbers and they just continue to lose games, which sucks. And three, the Ravens are not winning a Super Bowl unless they shore up this secondary and this pass defense.
yeah, I agree with just about everything you said. Quick note though, feelings go out to everybody that had to play Jamar Chase in fantasy this week. I mean, that man is an absolute dog and just every essence of the word. And I agree with what you said about Baltimore too. I think that I said it last week when we were giving our predictions about this one, and I know they mentioned on the broadcast as well. But teams are kind of also at the mercy of just airing it out as much as they can against this Baltimore team. And yeah, they're hands down by far the worst team in the NFL when it comes to stopping the pass. So when they get into these playoff runs and they play these good teams that have good offensive attacks through the air, good quarterbacks, top receivers, like I fear that they're going to struggle. And like I said, it's hard to be in even get to the Super Bowl if you're even as your one seed because you can slip up once and your season's done.
Yeah, that I can't wait for the playoffs, but that's for another episode. But yeah, it's crazy that the NFL playoffs is a joy to watch. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Ravens are winning with that defense.
Yep. And then if we look over at Cincinnati, I mean, yeah, like you said, this one hurts to lose. You're 4-6 now. This is a game that you feel you probably should have been 5-5. And I think if T. Higgins is on the field, you probably are 5-5. I just don't see how if T. Higgins is on the field, you don't get at least two more points.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Missing him was a big blow for them.
Yeah. Do you think Cincinnati is in a win out situation, or do you think they can afford another loss or two?
I think they can lose probably one more. They might be able to get in at 10-7. The problem for them is they play the Steelers twice,
Yeah.
and they're losing one of those games. So other than that they're probably going to split with the division.
Hmm.
They got to win every other game than that, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Should be an exciting. I mean, there's a lot of tight races so far, so we'll get into that, like I said, another time. But the end, I feel like the end of this season is going to be exciting to see.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
All right, moving into Sunday. All right, we're going over to Germany again, Munich. All right, and this was a game that we both said was ugly, and it turned out to be pretty close. I mean, Germany, you get one game a year, and you get overtime, and quite frankly, it was a doozy.
Well, the only bad thing is the overtime only lasted 10 seconds because there's a fumble on the first play for the.
Hey, but like I was saying though, if free football is free football, all right, and
That's
if you only get one game a year, you're not complaining.
that is true. Definitely not complaining. The Giants, man, they're just going down the ranks. I thought this team, maybe could win 7 games, 6, 7 games. I don't know if they're going to get to five.
Yeah, I think five is a stretch right now for this Giants team, and I keep saying, I mean, Daniel Jones is just he's underperforming time and time again. I don't understand why he got this massive extension over a guy like Saquon, a couple of years ago, but it's neither here nor there. You can't dwell on things that you might have missed out on in the past, and you just got to continue to progress your team with what you got on the field. Unfortunately, I think one of the things that's going to fall is going to be, Brian Dable potentially being out of a job by the end of the year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think he's a pretty good coach, honestly, bringing that roster to the playoffs a year. Because every year that he's been there, their roster hasn't been very good.
Yeah, at least in
And
terms of guys.
yeah, for sure. And he's been working with Daniel Jones this whole time. I mean, and he hasn't thrown 3 touchdowns in over 50 games.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. I mean, but then that kind of goes to this fact that all right, you're invested in Daniel Jones. So, I mean, why have you like they haven't really opted to move on either. So, a lot of questions in that front office for the Giants. But my last note in this one, I mean, big time win for Bryce Young. First back-to-back wins since he was in Bama.
Yeah, no matter what you think about Carolina, obviously we all know Carolina's not very good, but you got to be happy for Bryce Young because you could tell that things were hard on him.
Hmm.
He's, not enjoying, how everything was going. And he's out there smiling on the field, man, and I just love to see it. Chuba Hubbard, big game from him too.
Chuba Hubbard, yeah, Chuba Hubbard had a great game. Moving on though, we're gonna go into our early window for Sunday, and we're gonna start off with the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. And what a game!
Yeah, the Chiefs are like the thing, like I don't even know how to describe them because they won't die. They're always they won't. They might go undefeated, seriously, because they aren't gonna find a way to lose a game, and it's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, yeah, you would think because I mean they're 9-0 right now, and let me look real
They
quick.
could they
Actually,
could easily be 5-4 at this point, and they're 9-0.
they've had um, almost every game. There's two games this season that they've played out of their nine that have been more than a one score game. Like they're not really blowing teams out of the water. A lot of all these games are pretty close, and this Kansas City Chiefs team just finds ways to get it done because this isn't the same Patrick Mahomes that we've come to see, the same Chiefs team that's led by Patrick Mahomes just throwing for 350 yards and four touchdowns a game. Like Patrick Mahomes is not even in the race for an MVP in my opinion, despite being 9-0, just because he's not the reason they're winning these games. At least visually on the field, it looks like he's not the guy that's just taking over and leading these teams to victories. It's all 53 guys just buying in to this championship mentality and getting the job done.
Yeah, and the thing that's scary about that is high-end talent can obviously win you games, and now that everyone is bought in and they're not just winning games on high-end talent, they can win games anyway. You
Yeah.
know, it's scary. But as for the other side of it, for Denver, this one has got to be one of the toughest losses they've had in a couple years.
Yeah, I mean they did everything that they were supposed to. Literally, I mean we talk about our recipe for like I said, I'm high on the Broncos. I keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it. Like I like this Broncos team. Their recipe for winning so far has been their rookie Bo Nix not turning the ball over. He did that, right? They held the Chiefs to 16 points and they got themselves in a position to win the game and get a game-winning field goal, and it gets blocked. Like
Yeah,
you can't make that up. Like that's just unbelievable.
I got no words for it. I'm speechless.
Heartbreaker for Denver, but if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, you feel real good about where your team is at, sitting at 9-0, the only undefeated team in the NFL, and the sky's the limit for this team. If Patrick Mahomes gets going and turns back into that MVP Mahomes that we've seen ever since he stepped foot on the field. Like this Kansas City team is not like it's a train that is not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, and we're gonna move in to one of your games. We're gonna move into the Pittsburgh Steelers game, going into Washington, sneaking one away, one score game or 1 point game, 28-27. What did you see in this one?
Man, this was a great game to watch. The Steelers early on, they had, I don't know, did you see their fake punt attempt?
I did see the fake punt
Uh,
attempt. It
they
was
they
it
got
was
a look.
absolutely atrocious. I mean, how do you, I don't know how you drop a
I
ball
know.
that hits you right in the face.
They must have had a look that they saw against Washington, and it was wide open. And
Yeah,
uh, I think it
gotta
was
convert.
Pierre just drops it. But anyway, I just thought that was a funny play. Yeah, I'm Russell Wilson led Steelers were 3-0, man, and I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't excited because their offense is actually scoring touchdowns, and that's something I haven't said since Big Ben's been there.
Yeah, and one of the guys that scored a touchdown for you, new acquisition, Big
Evans,
Mike Williams.
I told you to look at his anytime TD.
Hey, you were right, you called it, and I mean, yeah, the Steelers team just they're 7-2. I mean, looks like this isn't going to be the year that Mike Tomlin finally has a losing season.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
but yeah, 7-2 for the Steelers and 7-3 for Washington. Both these teams are good, still both still in very good positions um, to go and make a playoff run. So I think both of these teams are teams that we'll see, come January, February, down the road.
Yeah, for sure. Washington's very good. I think this was just a really good game, and the
Yeah.
Steelers won by one. So
Hmm. Moving into one that maybe I would probably not such a great game to watch, but Minnesota and Jacksonville. We got a 12-7 Minnesota victory in Jacksonville. I mean, the under was free in this one. I mean, Mac first off, Mac Jones. Like, I don't want to say terrible, but not a good performance.
not good at all. Also, same for the other side though. Sam Darnold, easily his worst game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, not a great game from Sam Darnold. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown
Nope.
in this game and still found a way to win. I mean,
Jackson.
flashbacks to week one where teams are getting the job done without touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just goes to show that I think this Minnesota defense, despite Mac Jones being at quarterback, playing at Jacksonville offense, this Minnesota defense, Brian Flores, just they're bought in. I mean, they're not the team that's gonna go out there and win these high scoring games, 30 something to 30 something. Like they can win dogfights too.
Yeah, and I think that's why Minnesota has a chance, to make a run because let's be honest, they got all these playmakers on offense, but that's probably not where they're better on defense, are probably, especially the way
At least
Donald.
statistically, I think their defense has improved and shown the most growth. Obviously, and I think that is a big contributor as to why this team is 7-2.
Yeah,
Um,
most interceptions in the league for the Vikings.
yeah. So yeah, I like this Minnesota team, and I'm happy for Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold, despite this being his worst game of the year, easily. I mean, kind of similar to Baker last year. I think this he might have found a spot where he can call home for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. They still got McCarthy down there, or up there, I should say, in
Hey,
Minnesota.
you never know. You never know what could happen. But we're gonna move on to an NFC South matchup, Atlanta, New Orleans. What did you see in this one?
This one's tough because it was one of our games last week that we were questioning why the spread was so low,
Hey,
and
I'm gonna quote one of my good friends, Andrew. The spread is what it is for a reason. And clearly we didn't get that memo. So big upset, at least in our opinion. I mean, we thought Atlanta was gonna win this one. It wasn't even gonna be close. and they end up losing the game outright.
Yeah, it was just honestly, it was a dumb mistake on both of our ends. We didn't even consider the interim head coach boost, and I am comfortable saying that after this win, I will fade the Saints the rest of the season because the
You
interim
think
head
this is it? This is their one. They're done for the year.
yeah, because they got the interim head coach boost to beat the divisional opponent, and they're done after this. But what a revival game from MVS
Yeah, I mean, look,
touchdown.
I'm gonna say something because I don't completely agree with what you're saying. I think that this Saints team, their season's probably over. All right, they're 3-7 and week 11 now. I mean, they'd have to win out to even have a shot. And I don't think this is a team that can win out, but I do think they can ramble a few more wins together or wrangle a few more wins together. It maybe be a 6, 7 win team. Just because like talent wise, I don't understand. I feel like they still got guys that can show up and play. I mean, they just need to put it all together, and I wouldn't be surprised if this team goes out there and does sneak together a few more wins. Unfortunately, it's going to really hurt their draft position, but
Yeah.
I think that would just be the epitome of how this season is going for the Saints. It wouldn't be right if they ended up with a top pick as well. They have to win just enough games to end up with like the 13th or 14th pick.
Yeah, that's the worst spot to be in.
But all right, we're gonna move into Buffalo and Indianapolis. I mean, look, Buffalo was easily the favorite in this one. This is another one. I think the spread was a lot closer than I thought it should have been. I think that a big reason is Joe Flacco, but I mean, Anthony Richardson he's being named the starter again. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually thought well, first I thought the Colts were actually live in this game. I thought they had a chance to win it, and they just disappointed me as the game went on. But the Anthony Richardson news, I actually am all for it because I was all for benching him, but
Hmm.
after losing two in a row now, I get it when you were 4-4 and you had it, best chance to win,
Playoff shot.
whatever. You're 4-6 now. Your team's not good with Flacco, and you know this. It's not good with Richardson. They're just an average football team.
Yeah.
And
It's
Anthony Richardson has what the same amount of like three more starts than Drake May. Like this dude's he hasn't played a lot. You knew he was a project when you drafted him.
Yeah.
So
I hear what you're saying. Why not throw him out on the field, right? And, just get him playing time, get him experience, who knows? Like I said, they might rattle off, 4 more losses in a row, but if they can end the season with, a good string of wins and take that confidence with Anthony Richardson and take that into next year, I mean, at this point you're playing for next year. So because like you said, this isn't a Colts team that's going to win a Super Bowl. So why even waste your time having like Joe Flacco out there when you know he's not going to be there for the long haul? Why not get your guy some reps?
exactly.
But if you're Buffalo, I mean, you advanced to 8-2. This is a game you should have won, and it did. As I say, they won by 10, but the game did not reflect the score. I mean, this was a closer game, I think, than the scoreboard reflects.
Yeah, it was. The Bills didn't look great, but you don't have to. You win the game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as I say, you win the game, and then you move on to the next week. That's
Yeah.
it, just week by week basis. So I love that mentality. Um, and some not so great looking football here between New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. I mean, this this was bad. This was just ugly from start to finish.
Yeah, the Bears, man. I've never seen a Hail Mary break a team before, but that's what it's done to the Chicago Bears. And they were 4-2 at one point, and now they're
Yeah,
3 points against the Patriots at home.
yeah. I mean this is a team that was completely bought in to Caleb Williams and the offense and being able to bring this offense to life in Chicago. And I guess I mean this is what how many what I mean look real quick. This is their third game? No, no, second game where they have second game in a row that they've failed to score double digit points. And I mean, and one of these games was a game where they didn't even score. One of the games where they did score double digits was a game they didn't score a touchdown in.
Oh gosh.
So like, if we're looking at the Bears offense, it's like it's week 10. What is going like you should have this down by now. All right. Caleb Williams, I understand it's your rookie year, but I mean, I don't know. Like that you have way too much talent to be struggling as much as you are, sitting at 4-5 now.
It's such a tough situation because I think they actually fired their OC. I might be wrong on that, but I think that I saw something about that. But it's
Okay.
just it's they're in a weird spot to where their offense looks so bad that if it continues to look this bad, then Eberflus is going to be gone, and they're going to get a new coach, and it's going to be Caleb Williams' second year having to learn a whole new system, and that's exactly what they did to Justin Fields. It's tough for a young QB to do that, and yeah, the Bears offense, man. I know they're off. They had some injured O linemen, and Caleb holds on to the ball a lot, but they have way too much talent, like you said, to be looking like this, especially against New England, who we know is probably the least talented roster in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, like I said, in terms of guys, I mean, I'd say it's yeah, New England, Carolina, and I mean, I would put the Giants in that category too,
Yeah.
but I mean, at least they got guys. That defensive front is legit. They got guys that are legit that they can really build on. And then obviously Neighbors is there. I think Neighbors is going to be there for the long haul. So I mean, I wouldn't quite put the Giants in that position, but the Patriots are for sure one of those
Yeah.
teams that's like who they just don't have guys. They really don't have any single like a guy. Drake May is their guy, and he's
Hey,
a rookie.
ever since Drake's taken over, the offense has been way better, man.
It has. So we'll see if they can kind of carry that forward. I mean, they're 3-7, so this season's washed. Um, they might end up in that same position as the Saints, where they end up with that middle of the pack pick, and you're not in the playoffs. So we'll see.
We will see.
And then we're gonna move into this Tampa game. All right, this was a game that I said the Niners will probably win this one by double digits, but I mean the Bucks are. They just find ways to stay in games despite, not having anybody really K Dotton being our number one target to throw the ball to. I mean, this Bucks offense just they find ways to get it done and keep these games close. Um, Said nothing super flashy on the numbers, but just moving the ball. The defense really kept us in it, and if you're the Niners, I mean, this is a game that if you look at the numbers, I mean, the Niners really should have blown out the Bucks, at least from a statistical standpoint. But they end up
Yeah.
only winning this one by a field goal.
Yeah, they outgained them 413 and 215. And I mean, this was just a Jake Moody masterclass on how to keep missing field goals, and that's what
Yeah.
kept this game close.
Yeah.
But and give credit to the Bucks. You got Baker with Nick Bosa on his back, stiff
Oh
arming
my, yeah.
fourth down,
Said that. I
and
mean, that's gonna be up there for that might be the top play of the year for the Bucks.
seriously. So I like watching the Bucks. I love watching Baker, but the main thing I learned from this game is I know it was McCaffrey's first game back, so I wasn't expecting a ton from him.
Hmm.
But it's just like, again, like you said, you look at the numbers and how do the Niners not win this game by 10 plus? Like, this is a team that's been to the Super Bowl. They've been dominating the NFC the last 3 years. I
Hmm.
don't know if they're that team this year.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, whether you want to credit the Bucks or discredit, the Niners offense. I mean, like you said, Jake Moody had a game. I think he had three missed field goals in this one. So yeah, they should have beat the Bucks by double digits. But I mean, this has just been a recurring theme, I feel like, for the Niners is, they can get the ball down the field, they can move the chains, but they struggle a lot at times at putting the ball in the end zone. So this Niners offense, they gotta their red zone efficiency numbers gotta go up, and they gotta be able to put touchdowns on the board instead of settling for field goals, especially if this is a team that coming into the year was a Super Bowl contender, and that was their goal. So if they're gonna be that, they need to figure out the offense and maybe have, again, only 1 week back from McCaffrey, so maybe next week we see McCaffrey come back and he's gonna really help out this Niners team, and they're gonna be able to put more touchdowns up. But the only time will tell. So we'll see what happens. The Niners are 5-4. They're sitting out a wild, fighting for a wild card spot. The Bucks are 4-6, but they are in a bad division, so they could easily, sneak out a division title. And anything is possible in the NFL, man.
That is true.
We're gonna move on to Tennessee and the Chargers. And did you watch this game?
I watched the first half.
Okay. I only asked because I know you said that if you were dogging the Tennessee Titans, and for good reason. I mean, it's hard to watch this team. Like I think you said last week, Tennessee fans don't even want to watch Tennessee football.
Like I'll say it again, man. I will. The Titans are bad. They are really bad. They are really bad. And Levis,
Well,
he had 5 incompletions, but like got sacked 7 times. The Chargers, I will say what John Harbaugh has done for the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers have been stuck in mediocrity for a while, and now, I mean, they're not the best team in the league, but they're just winning in a way that they haven't won before. Hard-nosed defense running the ball, and it's a formula to go deep in the playoffs.
yeah, I like this Chargers team. I think that, like you said, this new mindset that Jim Harbaugh is bringing of
Yeah.
just smash mouth and winning in the trenches, just having everybody bought in. I love it. And then, like you said, you still got Justin Herbert, who can easily take over a game through the air if he needs to. So I think this Chargers team is sneaky. I think that they can quietly be a team that might make a run and be a contender. I mean, sitting at 6-3, they're number two in their division, I think, right now. But like I said, they got Kansas City they still got to worry about. And if I mean, they're Kansas City's 9-0, so they're gonna whoever plays them is gonna have to play an Arrowhead, and we know how that is, especially at the end of the year in the playoff time. So we'll see. But I do want one note I do want to make before we move on is Calvin Ridley looks like he's thriving as the wide receiver one. Now that D Hop's gone, Calvin Ridley is locked in.
Well, yeah, one more thing. The Levis being back in, Levis can throw the deep ball. So maybe the Levis Ridley connection will be something that continues, but that's the only thing, bright spot on this Tennessee team right now.
Yeah. I say if there was a bright spot for Tennessee, it was the fact that their defense, I think, was pretty efficient at least. But and then they go out and they get up 27 and lose by 10. So again, they just don't have enough going for them right now. They're 2-7. Their season's done. Like we'll see how they can recover. Moving in, we got Philadelphia and Dallas. Philly, I think I said Philly might win this one by 30, and they got real close.
Yeah, that I got nothing to say about the Cowboys other like Cooper Rush had 13 completions for 45 yards. And the Cowboys might be the biggest dumpster fire in the league right now with all the attention that they're getting. But credit to the Eagles, man. The Eagles have looked great since their bye.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles. This is one of those things though. I think back to last year and I think of how that Philadelphia season ended with Nick Sirianni, and I just don't know if I can fully believe in this Eagles team because I remember how last season ended and they were in like a very similar position that they are right now last year, and we saw how last year ended. I don't know if I can believe yet that I think we have to wait a few more weeks to see what this Philadelphia teams looks like. And that'll kind of tell us what Philadelphia team we'll see come playoff time.
I completely understand. I think they were what, 8-0 last year?
They
7 and
were, yeah, I would say they were easily like I'd say a Super Bowl favorite last year.
yeah.
And then they rattled off a bunch of losses and just ended the season bad. And I was worried that was going to carry into this year, but we'll see. I mean, big win for Dallas. That was a game they needed to win big, and they did. So they'll see they can carry that momentum into the rest of the season. Only time will tell. Moving in to Arizona. This is my dog of the week, and they should have been favorites.
Yeah, it's just wild to me the collection of talent that's on the like they're not a team. They're just a collection of talent. That's what the Jets are.
Yeah.
And it's just why it is crazy to me that they can be this bad. But you got to give credit to Arizona. Kyler had two incompletions in this game, 260 yards. I mean, their offense was clicking.
Yeah. I mean, this is people, this Arizona team, man. I mean, they've, like I said it in our prediction, they've got some good wins, like against some good teams, right? They also have some bad losses against some not so good teams. But I mean, this Arizona team, they're just inconsistent. If they can be a little bit more consistent, this is an Arizona team I feel like that could go I'm not gonna say go far, but um definitely be a playoff team and put themselves in a position moving forward to potentially be contenders.
Yeah,
So
that's the first place team in the NFC West right now.
I mean, yeah, that NFC West battle is close. I
Yeah.
mean, that's anybody's division right now. So again, that's another one of those things I was talking about. End of the season, we're getting to it, and there's some close races. Should be a lot of entertaining football season's end. And it's divisional football time, so they love to wait to put all these divisional games at the end of the year for this reason. So we'll
Yep.
see.
So this reason.
But one more thing I want to say. I think I think Aaron Rodgers might be time to hang it up, man.
I don't disagree with you, but I heard something on I don't know who it was from, so it might have been false, but it was Devontae Adams, was traded there understanding that Rodgers was going to be there for a couple years. So
I don't know. I don't know if I can believe this. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers. All right, the Jets thought they were getting the MVP Rodgers, and he is not that. So I think that as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, at least the version of Aaron Rodgers we have right now, this Jets team just isn't going to go anywhere. So we'll see.
I agree with you.
Um, Moving on though, all right, we got our Sunday night game. Detroit Lions, another big win. They're 8-1, and they get a good win against a good Texans team. Granted, this was a Texans team that is still pretty banged up. But I mean, a big game for Detroit. This is one you should have won, and you didn't play great, but you still found a way to win.
No, all this game told me is how good the Lions were because if your quarterback can throw five interceptions and you can win the game against Houston, who, yes, they are injured, I understand, but Houston's cooked. I'm not Houston.
Yeah.
If they can't win this game with five interceptions at home, I get the Lions are one of the best teams in the league, but if you that game is given to you and you can't win, we've talked about how good the Lions have been against the run, and Joe Mixon had 25 carries for 46 yards, and that's a guy
Yeah.
who's putting up numbers
Yeah, I mean his longest rush it says here is 8 yards.
like 25 carries, 46 yards.
Yeah, that's the definition of inefficiency right there.
Averaging 2 yards a carry.
No, but I do I like what you said, right? Jared Goff threw 5 picks. I mean, if you're Houston, this is a game. I don't care what team you are. If you force a guy to throw 5 interceptions, there's no reason you should lose that game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just a testament, I guess, to just the resiliency of this Detroit team, and that's quietly just been their brand is resiliency and being able to battle through adversity, and that's what this team has bought into.
Yeah, I know it's we're going to week 10, but Lions got to be the favorite to win the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, right?
I
They
mean,
have
yeah,
to.
I think right now, because like I said, this was a bad game. They still found a win. They're 8-1, and I think a Chiefs Lions matchup would be very entertaining. And this wasn't good, but I'm gonna go. Let's say it does happen. Lions are winning that game. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
would take
I
Detroit,
would take the Lions right now.
yeah. But we have plenty of time
But
before that happens.
you said what?
Plenty of time before that
Oh
happens.
yeah. One more thing I wanted to note on this one. I don't know, something I saw that I thought that was really funny. Before this game, obviously Jared Goff had a bad game, but before this one, Jared Goff had more touchdown passes than incompletions.
Shoot.
Like that's crazy. But
Yeah,
yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add on before we wrap it up with this Monday night game?
I got nothing. Let's talk about the Monday night game.
All right. So without further ado, going into LA, Miami, big road win, right? This was essentially a pick 'em game. Anybody could win. And Miami, they got the job done. So is this a win that can kind of right the ship for Miami in your opinion?
I think potentially, yes, but they still have to put it all together. Their offense still wasn't as explosive as you'd want it to be. I mean, Tyreek Hill had 3 catches for 16 yards. I know he had the touchdown. I think Waddle had 55 yards after their first drive of the game, their first touchdown drive. He finished with 57. So you just want to see more explosiveness, but the Rams just disappointed me in this game. No touchdowns, and Miami virtually has not had a pass rush all season, and they were dominating the defensive line against Los Angeles.
Yeah, and this is a Los Angeles team that, they're 4-5 now after this loss, but looking at them, they shouldn't have been 4-5. They've had a lot of injuries early. This realistically should be probably a 6-7 win team, if they're healthy all year, but now they're 4-5 and battling for a wild card spot. Or not a wild card spot because that NFC West division is so close, but they're gonna have to step up if they want to get into the playoffs, which is not out of the books for this LA Rams team. Um, that note that you said about Tyreek Hill in Miami, I mean, yeah, you said 3 catches. This is a guy that last year, right? I mean, he was talking about 2,000 yards, and
Yeah,
he's fighting for 1,000 right now. Like
yeah.
they
It's
got to
been
get him involved, and I don't know. I understand, Tua was out for a few weeks, and now he's back, so we'll see. But yeah, they got to get him involved because he's a game breaker, and that's that.
yeah.
But that wraps up all of our Week 10 matchups. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Looking forward to the next week, man. That's it.
Yeah, say week 11. We're about to record our week 11 predictions, so make sure y'all check that out. But yeah, without further ado, appreciate y'all stopping by, and make sure y'all leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and we'll see y'all in the next one.